This is Insert Credit Show editor Esper Quinn. If you're watching this, you might be wondering where episode 378 is. Or if you're watching this far enough in the future, you might be wondering why episode 378 comes after episode 379. Well, the answer is that as of recording, the video version of episode 378 isn't finished yet. It's a back-and-forth show and tell of obscure video games and video games obscurities hosted by Brandon Sheffield with Digital Foundry's John Linneman, both of them diving through their personal collections. You can hear audio of this episode right now at insertcredit.com, but as you might imagine, the video version deserves to be spectacular, and as you might also imagine, it's not easy finding great footage of really, really obscure games. I wanted to do this one right, and now that I've returned from my travels, I am hard at work capturing and editing. I'm hoping to have it done sometime this week. Thanks for understanding. In the meantime, here's the result of Brandon spending the very first credits on Insert Credit Show, whole episode dedicated to Knuckles Chaotix. Enjoy, and wahoo.
Ash, I've never heard it described as pooping the dog, and I like that.
Pooping the dog.
For some reason, that's just like how I've decided to describe taking my dog out so he can take a shit.
We all know what it means.
No, I like it. It's good.
I didn't need the descriptor.
This is a good new definition for pooping. I think we're breaking ground here.
Well, yeah. And, you know, because my husband is a child, every time I would say it, he's like, you poop a dog? You should see a doctor about that.
How many times has he tried that joke?
Oh, a lot. He can't resist it.
Yeah. You really only need to be concerned once you start pooping cats and dog.
Because that's a large volume, I guess.
Quite a voluminous poop, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bunch.
Voluminous poop. Are we all ready? Welcome to the next level in Super 32X World. This is episode 379 of Insert Credit, where our ring-tethered panel of video game experts punch the clock on each attraction or get timed out by a horrible buzzer. I'm Mighty the Armadillo, Alex Jaffe.
Oh, I'm Charmy B, Frank Safari.
I have to go last.
You can call me Charmy B.
Oh, goodness. I'm Vector, the alligator, Ash Parrish.
A distinct departure from the game's Vector the Crocodile. Don't.
Damn it, Jaffe.
No, don't be fooled. It's about the shape of the snout. We got Vector the alligator here. She's been getting all his mail. It's been rough.
I guess since Mighty got taken, the palette swap Sonic is no longer available. I'm Espio. I'm Brandon Sheffield. I'm Espio, the chameleon.
Brandon, I think you've always been Espio since day one of this podcast.
That may be true.
I didn't even think about that. Like, which of these characters map onto the Insert Credit panel?
Personality-wise.
No, Frank is for sure Vector. Ash, I think you're Charmy B, if anybody's Charmy B. But, mixing and matching playable characters is what this is all about. For those who are not familiar, a little while ago, at the beginning of this so-called season of Insert Credit, I started implementing this credit system where winners of each episode could bank a credit based on how well they did in the show to spend on certain ticket items of their discretion. And the first to really cash in those points was our own Brandon Sheffield, who spent 4 credits to make all of us play Knuckles Chaotix, the 1995 video game by Sega, for the 32X system. And what a game it was. We've all had about a month to play it. I want to ask how everyone's Knuckles Chaotix experience was.
Well, first of all, I want to make sure, did everybody play it with their partner like I asked?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
no,
good.
But I'm the host, so I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, you also played it like on a browser with your keyboard, so you don't get to have any opinions about
you
Knuckles
didn't play
Chaotix.
Knuckles as Chaotix,
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into that, Brandon, why?
Well, the reason is that this game
first of all,
is...
did you play with your partner?
Yeah, of course.
And you still have the opinion that you have about it?
I do.
You are not a real person.
Or maybe Brandon's relationship is just stronger than yours.
It could be that.
Probably.
because there's a few reasons. One is that Knuckles Chaotix is much maligned, and I believe that it is significantly more fun to play with another person, especially if you if it's low stakes for you. And so I wanted to kind of discuss that with people who had actually done it, because most people have not. And the other reason is I have viewed this game as a great test of a relationship, because it's so floppy and fiddly, and it's hard to know exactly how you're getting where you're going.
It's got chaotic in the name.
Yeah, you have to really be on the journey together, and it's like a perfect couples game in that way. It's like going on a vacation for the first time together. You'll like learn a lot about each other that you may want to learn or may not want to learn. And like the optimal way that we fell into playing it is whoever knows more about Sonic kind of takes the lead on what the direction is that we're going, and like picks the other person up if need be to do whatever needs to be done, if we have to do more precision.
Yeah, there's literally a mechanic in this game where you carry the other player.
Yeah.
It couldn't be more on the nose.
Yeah, and we really enjoyed this game. And in fact, like we played through it again last night. It's a quick hour and a half video game, and Christina had to actually bow out to go to bed before we finished. So I had to finish it myself. We were 20 seconds off of the last time we played it. We played it like 6 or 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when we played it again,
You're keeping a leaderboard?
no, it's just it saves it to your. It's in the save file. It tells you how long you've played. And
Ash,
and it was,
maybe the reason your relationship is floundering is because you don't keep a leaderboard.
that's right.
No, we do. It's an internal one. He's winning.
But yeah, 20 seconds apart, I was like, wow, a whole game, and we played it within 20 seconds of the last time we did. That's very, very interesting.
I wonder if there's like a Speed Demos archive, like leaderboard, where it is 2-player co-op and where you would rank in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would be very slow. I think there's much faster people, because we're like having a good time in there. It's got really good music and really good colors and stuff.
And I'll
It
bet
does.
I bet the people who are on the leaderboards have played it more than twice.
Yeah, I've played it more than twice.
I'm on
but-
the speedrun archives for Knuckles Chaotix right now, and apparently the most competitive topic is from start to end of relationship. So pretty good times here. Competitive.
Yeah.
Nice. So anyway, that's why. It's because it's a weird game. It's not often discussed, especially by people who have actually played it and actually played it 2-player. It's fine if you don't like it, but I think it's a game from a very weird time in Sega's life.
Yeah.
It's clearly not 100% finished. It's clearly like this was going to be a Sonic game, and they reskinned Mighty to not be Sonic anymore.
Well, do you know that we have?
Sonic Crackers?
Yeah. Okay.
You do?
That means something completely different to me, but carry on.
What if there was a Sonic for white people?
Sonic Crackers is when Knuckles isn't in the game at all. It's
Right?
yeah, there's no Knuckles.
All right, so we know the why. There's so much to respond to, but I assume that Jaffe's got questions, so I've just been keeping quiet.
Yeah, I would like for us to try to explain to the listener, because I don't think it comes through in just watching the game how this tether mechanic functionally works.
It doesn't.
Yeah, so
correct, it doesn't.
First of all, it doesn't have a very strong consistency, but basically you've got 2 characters. One controlled by the computer and one controlled by yourself, unless you play 2-player, in which case they're both controlled by different characters. And the mechanics are slightly different for single player and multiplayer. For single player, you can make the AI characters stand in one place and hold, and then
hang on, you're kind of skipping the basics here, which is this is a game where 2 things are chained together.
Oh, I was just getting to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're chained together by sparkles, which you can stretch like a rubber band. And so one character holds B, stands in place. The other character runs away, stretches the rubber band, and then you can zip past and go really fast. And then that's when the physics take over, and you're just kind of bouncing all over the place. Everybody's flinging around. It's like a slinky rubber band gone wild kind of scenario. And you use that to get around a world that is ultimately relatively underpopulated of enemies, except for a few of them, because it's not a fully finished game. And the scenario is that you're trapped inside a giant claw machine, like a gacha machine.
Oh, that's what. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so that's why there's an annoying gacha mechanic of picking your partner with a claw machine, and that's why at the end you're hitting for a randomizer to get get Metal Sonic, and yeah, it's just and so that means you play the stages in a random order instead of in a sequence, which would have been a lot better and nicer. And you actually each game is playing from like morning to noon to afternoon to sunset to night, and
which means they just changed the palette of the sky.
Yeah, and they're all very sparse. There's very little to indicate you're making progress in the level.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
but they do also change the tint of the environments in some of the stages.
Sure.
To get darker, but it would have a much better effect if you were playing through them straight, because I feel like a lot of people don't even notice that it's going from the time of day is changing because you're not playing them in order.
Well, the problem though is that all the levels within a level, like all 5 of them, are basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're just Sonic the Hedgehog racetracks that are fairly sparsely populated. There's a gimmick in each level. Then each level's not that cool. And if it were played in order, and you had to do it 5 times in a row,
which is
I was already
exhausting.
Yeah,
I was already annoyed when I would randomly get 2 in a row.
Yeah, that randomizer mechanic feels like it's there to artificially hide how small the game actually is.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed personally playing through them in order more. I understand what you're saying though about it contributing more to fatigue.
I would have liked not having like the very long, very same between level thing.
Yes.
You know, it's like, cool, I'm in this, not even a hub world. It's basically you run right for a minute and then go to the next one.
Yep.
One thing that is universally loved about this game, from everyone I've heard talk about it, is the music.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally don't think, like, it's okay, but I don't see it as on the level of like those first 3 Sonic games.
It's not Sonic music, no.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that I took away from it personally as, you know, one of the big Sonic fans, that the music was like, okay, the music's good. I did like the visuals. I didn't notice that you changed from like morning to noon to night. So thanks for pointing that out. I might go back and look. But yeah, like that would be the only thing that I could recommend of this game. Like, and I love Sonic, and this game sucks ass. And it's interesting that Brandon says like this is more fun when it's 2-player. Because I feel like it would be a much more enjoyable, less frustrating experience if you're just playing with a computer, because man, it is hard to coordinate with a partner. Because I don't know if it was the way that it was working on our little Sega system that we have or whatever, because we didn't play it on a computer. We played it emulated on the Sega Genesis little mini console. And that was, my husband downloaded the ROM or whatever. And we did it that way. That was an exercise in like pain and suffering. It was not good. We were frustrated as hell. We couldn't understand the mechanics. We went through the tutorial several times, tried to do all of that, like hold B and launch and throw and all. It just
there's
did
one
not work.
move in the tutorial where if you follow the instructions, it just straight up doesn't trigger.
Yeah, that's true. The tutorial is bad. It's like I'm not gonna say that it's a good game or that it doesn't have intense problems, because it does. It, like, first of all, you can't even start playing multiplayer until
after the tutorial.
After the tutorial, and you have to back out to the menu and then go back to your save and then select the save again and then select 2-player.
Boy, howdy, was that a trial figuring that out.
Oh my god, yeah. You have to Google how to play 2-player on this.
It's true. It's true. And you can get stuck in the tutorial. I reset the game so that I could hit start to skip the tutorial.
Two things I want to point out that I think are interesting in this game. I think the boss fights are pretty cool. What did you think of the boss fights?
Well, I mean, we'll have to backtrack and say that where we found peace was with Charmy B.
Mm-hmm.
Because Charmy B can just fly and zip wherever he wants.
Yeah.
Charmy just gets what he wants. And so
found peace with the Charmy B.
The way that we managed to save our relationship was that I was Charmy B and Amanda was Red Sonic. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of like zipped around and she occasionally pressed a button.
Yeah. So what we did was I was Red Sonic. I was kind of leading where we were going because I was a red character. And then she was SBO. And so I would be like, okay, can you climb up that wall? Because SBO can run. And so we divided our duties so that she had a lot to do and I had a lot to do. And there were well-defined roles. And also it's just like, if you don't really care too much about what's happening and you feel like you use it more as a funny physics play set, and it's just like a box to fool around in and just see all the we literally cheered every time we would accidentally trigger ourselves just like spinning across the screen, like both of us rotating around each other, and it's like we're going higher and higher, and it's like, yeah, where are we going? I have no idea. Like it's so stupid that it can be fun. It's very frustrating if you're really, really trying to do well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
The reason that I wanted to backtrack is because to answer Jaffe's question about bosses.
Oh, right.
If you're Charmy B, you just kind of lick them until they die.
Yeah.
You just kind of like bash your face into them and then,
I was going to say,
they die.
do you mean lick as in like the 1940s parlance, or do you mean literally lick?
No,
but
you press C and he just bashes his face into things, and I like to think there's a little slurp in there.
Ew.
Yeah.
It was Charmy B. Charmy B is a freak.
I like the bosses. I also think they're too easy, which is very weird for me to say.
Yeah. I think the game intentionally takes it easy on you. Like there are a lot fewer enemies than there should be because it's such a nightmare to control.
Sometimes none.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Sometimes there are, it's just robots forgot to show up.
So I have a question, which is like, how do you get up slopes if you have two runners? Like,
another good question.
What we ended up figuring out was that you can't do the one player hold move, but you can if one player holds down or up, which means you can do it. You just have to scroll the camera where you can't see.
Well, I have the answer, which is that you run opposite directions. So like partner's running right, I'm running left, and then she just keeps running right, and then I let go after I
swear we tried that, but maybe we didn't.
Yeah.
But then I I hold right after I've passed her, and then I continue adding my momentum to it.
This brings me to my theory about how this game came to be. I don't have any evidence of this, but I think why Chaotix exists is because of the multiplayer in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where very famously it was a situation where like if Tails fell off the screen, that was pretty much it. But I think that must have gotten someone thinking, what if your partner had to be on screen at all times? What would that look like? Well, I guess they'd be chained together.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it just strikes me as a prototype in search of a game.
Yeah.
You know, like they just kind of greenlit a prototype. And I will, I'll kind of back that up by pointing out that for some reason, there's a color palette test for the 32X in the options menu.
Yeah.
Like, why is that still in there? That's really weird.
Yeah. The demo for the Sonic Crackers demo is playable, and it's pretty much this game fully formed, but with Sonic and Tails.
Performs way better.
Yeah. This game does have slowdown, which is one of the most frustrating things about it to me.
Jaffe, to answer your question about bosses, and to give you an idea of how this went for me, Brandon, I'm pretty sure you just set me up for failure because you hate me for some reason. Because my husband is not a casual video game player at all when it comes to like multiplayer stuff. Like he is super into it and gets frustrated very easily when things don't work. And Knuckles Chaotix is a game that does not work.
No.
We never saw a boss fight. We didn't continue enough to even see a boss fight. Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't beat the game?
No, of course we didn't beat the game.
That was one of the stipulations. So I'm
to beat the game?
I do not remember that stipulation.
Yeah,
I did not.
No,
that's
not fair. No, I'm not allowing that.
So you're going to go back in time and disallow what we agreed upon?
No,
Okay,
I am disallowing
back.
beat the game. You can try, just give it an honest try.
That's what I said.
We honestly tried it. No,
I'm getting a refund.
I can bring him in here on the podcast right now and tell you that we honestly tried because we really did. But it got to the point where we were both so frustrated because we're both gamers, right? And we're trying to play this good. Like, and you said, Brandon, like if you it's a better game if you're not trying, but we're both going to try. And we both really did try. And it was frustrating as hell to the point where it's like, we're not having fun. We're not having fun, right? And if you're not having fun, why keep playing? And we stopped playing, and we're like,
because I spent my credits is why.
This is time. I think now is a good time to talk about the 32X as a system.
You know, I was going to ask how many rings people chaos rings people got by the end. Like, nobody talked about the 3D stages.
No,
that's because
I did want to talk about that.
Yeah, as soon as we got to a 3D stage, we just bailed out because we were not having a good time.
Yeah.
Well, I got 4.
We just died. We intentionally would get upset if one of us accidentally touched the ring.
No, that was what we were going for. And actually, those levels, I think, were much better as an experience than anything else.
To me, the 3D bonus stages were my favorite part of the game, but I did not experience it with
they
the
were
partner.
for me too, but we were just trying to experience as much content as quickly as we could because we were not enjoying ourselves. So we were just trying to check the box as much as we could. And after playing the bonus stage about 5 times, I get it.
There's 2 bonus stages though.
Oh, sure. We've done both. Yeah.
I don't mean the skydiving one. I mean the 3D
skydiving one's
jumping
trash.
Around.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking. All right. So we're talking about 32X in general?
Yeah. There 40 games came out for the 32X. How many of them are actually good?
I think probably in the 5 to 10 range, and that's including Knuckles Chaotix.
Oh boy. So more like 4 to 9.
Well, it depends on.
Aren't there 20 total?
There are 40 total.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time.
The 32X library is about as big as the Jaguar?
40. Is there really 40?
I dropped a list in the chat.
All right, I'm going to take a look at this.
We've got Afterburner Complete. We've got Amazing Spider-Man Web of Fire, BC Racers, Blackthorn, Brutal, Above the Claw, Corpse Killer.
I guess there are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see them. So yeah, the ones that I that I like, but again, they're not good.
Mm-hmm.
I just like them. Would be Cosmic Carnage. The Doom one is kind of interesting. Knuckles Chaotix. Colibri is fine. Primal Rage is weird, but it's completely unnecessary. Shadow Squadron, aka Stellar Assault. That's an interesting one. Very late game. If the Sims was the developer of that, they made a space shooter for the failed 32X, and then they made essentially a sequel for the Saturn in 1998 after the Saturn was basically already dead. So this poor series never got a chance to live. I like Tempo, and Zaxxon's Mother Base 2000 I think is the best game on the 32X.
What makes it the best game?
It's actually pretty fun and interesting. It's an isometric shooter where you are a kind of a small pod ship that can disable larger ships and then jump inside of them and use their powers, enemy ships. So it's got a neat gimmick to it, and it plays well, and it's probably the most fully formed game that if you played it, you'd be like, oh yeah, sure, this is a video game. It's good. I like this. So
would you even classify the 32X as a console?
Yes, sort of. It's an add-on. You can't play 32X games without the 32X, at least on real hardware. So kind of, yes. But it is more of an add-on than a console.
Is Sega CD a console? Yes.
Yeah.
So, of course it is.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about how it was received at the time it came out?
I think people were excited about it beforehand. This is my understanding. Is people were a bit excited about it in the West, and then it came out and they saw the price and they were like, no. And I think that was the end.
Yeah, I saw Knuckles Chaotix was a $58 game in 1995, which would be roughly $112 now.
Well, that's just what all games were.
Yeah.
It's true. And it's a problem also because as people may know, the 32X represents the rift between the Western side and the Japanese side of Sega, where the Western side wanted to keep doing stuff with the Genesis because it had been doing well for them in general. Though I have since learned that it didn't do as well as they said because all of those sales numbers that they were generating didn't include returns and stuff. So they were actually selling huge volumes and then getting huge amounts of returns from stores extra stuff, and so it wasn't quite.
Well, listen, hang on. I have read the book Console Wars, the definitive history of the Console Wars, and what I can tell you from that book is that anything that was wrong with Sega was Japan's fault. And
that's right.
So, Jesus.
Yeah, that is the core premise of the book, is that Tom Kalinske is perfect and Japan is wrong.
Right. So that was the prevailing idea for like the failure of this for a little while, but it's
because he wanted to do all this cool stuff, and Japan just kept saying no for no reason.
They just wouldn't let
jerks.
Him. Yeah,
and according to the book, Sega had to pass on both the tech from the N64 and the PlayStation because Japan said no. Like both of those things happened.
Yeah.
In fact, if you read the book, Kalinske referred the SGI people to Nintendo because Japan said no to him, and he was just nice enough to pass that off to Nintendo.
I want to make sure everyone can detect the sarcasm in Frank's voice.
I'd like to thank my sister for getting me a copy of Console Wars for Hanukkah. It was a very thoughtful gift. Thank you.
So the 32X it had a lot of problems, including it came out like contemporary to / after the Saturn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it definitely came out after the Saturn did in Japan, and everybody knew about it. So like Sega was splitting their resources. 32X was dead in the water. The Saturn was obviously the way to go for the future, because if for no other reason,
they had like four consoles at that time, 5 if you count Pico.
Yeah. It was just ridiculous. It was 1994 and 1995 are two of the weirdest years in video games, because like 1994 you could viably make a game still for the NES and still for the TurboGrafx CD. And for the Sega CD
US
and the 32X,
yeah. All right, that's time. I want to talk about how the video game history digital archive kind of helped me get into what people were saying about this game at the time.
I'm excited about this because there was an episode a long time ago where I don't remember the premise, but I was pulling issues of EGM and reading the review.
Yes, this is for the Super Nintendo episode, I think.
Okay, thank you. And like, what an evolution now, right?
Yeah.
It's like, not only do I not need to go pull the physical things, I don't even need to be involved. Jaffe can just go to archive.gamehistory.org and just do it all. Like,
did you say archive.gamehistory.org?
Archive.gamehistory.org.
That's right.
One org early.
One org early. I can tell you that this game got a fun factor from GamePro of 2.0. I think that's fair.
2.0, so that is that's like the bored looking guy, not the sleeping guy.
That's the bored looking guy. He's not asleep.
My favorite is 1.5 because it's a guy who's asleep but also giving a thumbs up.
Yeah, this game's got a bored thumbs up in control, which I think is generous.
It's got a 1.5 for controls. Okay.
2.5. Not sleeping
thumbs
up.
Thumbs up. Bored thumbs up is also good. It's not as good as sleeping thumbs up.
One thing I learned is that when this game was showed off at the Consumer Electronics Show in winter 1995, it was just called Chaotix. Mm-hmm. That's free. That's something that pretty much every magazine that covered it corroborates. There was a water level, which seems like it was abandoned early on.
God.
I think that was probably smart.
Give me more content.
Yeah, they cut that out. A lot of people were just calling Mighty Armadillo Red Sonic at the time, so not much has changed in the last 30 years.
They actually called it Red Sonic?
Yeah. They were like,
joke,
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Communist Sonic.
Yeah. Yeah. Here is my favorite review that I read of, this comes from EGM in their 2-page insert guide for the levels such as they are. Quote, "There are very few nasties to gack, so it's relatively simple."
Nasties to gack.
There are very few nasties to gack, so it's relatively simple.
I'm interested in the etymology of gack as a verb. That's fun.
I wonder if that came from
Nickelodeon's gack.
Nickelodeon's, that what was that show called?
Double Dare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it came from that.
It's possible.
Because gank, that's a word.
Was it a word then?
I think gank was a word then, because I remember it from high school.
Because I associate gank with World of Warcraft, because you gank noobs, right?
Yeah, but I think it came from before. I think it was like I think if I'm I could be incorrect, but I thought it was an AVE stolen word again.
Oh, that doesn't sound correct to me. No.
Yeah, it might not be, but well, we'll have to look into it.
EGM recommends that if you like this game, you should play Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. Very insightful, thank you. Kind of 7s to 7.5s across the board, where the actual thing they have to say about it is a lot more negative than the score itself seems to indicate, which is pretty fairly industry standard for the time. These are 7s that read like 5s, basically.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't want to mess up their relationship with Sega, possibly.
That might be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Geez. Do you have anything to say about the history of Chaotix? What do you know about Sonic Crackers? Anything?
I actually it occurs to me that I don't know who worked on this game. Do you, Brandon?
Oh yeah, but it's
is there DNA with Sonic? Because it seems like Naka's physics.
There's not a lot. He's a special thanks.
Yeah,
but it's Quest, mostly Quest, that made this game. Quest,
A Tribe Called?
Yes, no. Quest, who did a lot of co-dev, and they made Magical Chase on the TurboGrafx, is one of their more notable titles.
They made Takeshi's Challenge.
Yeah, they did.
That makes sense. That tracks.
Yeah. But yeah, I was looking at the credits after I beat the game, and I didn't really recognize a lot of people from things that I have played and known that have any kind of credibility behind them. It seems like it was a lot of Sega, no offense to them, second stringer type folks that probably just got forced to have this. The most notable thing to me was this game has 3 directors. And that is very makes sense to me. It makes a lot of sense that it has 3 directors, because that just shows me this was
Wait, hold on. Sorry. Jaffe, when you said Sonic Crackers, I didn't realize that you were being serious and that there is a thing called Sonic Crackers.
Yeah, that was the demo that this game became.
Oh, man. Okay, carry on. I just had to... For people who are like me and are not aware of the ins and outs of the history of Sonic or Knuckles Chaotix and Sonic Crackers, this is a real thing.
I think it might mean crackers in the same sense as Christmas crackers, and that you pull them apart at both ends.
I think it was my take, and I don't know, is that it was a Japanese misunderstanding of what that word means. Because this does seem to be entirely Japanese made. A little fun fact where the Sonic Crackers ROM came from was there was a guy who worked at Sega in the late 90s who took the dev boards, the EEPROM boards for systems that didn't, they weren't supporting anymore, like 32X and Genesis, and just straight up burned unreleased games for collectors, which is kind of neat.
Good
and
for
that's
them.
where Sonic Crackers came from, and some other trash like X-Men on the 32X came from that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that X-Men on the 32X it probably wouldn't have been great, but it still remains interesting because that's the one that's just the ladies, I believe.
No. It's a 3D thing.
It's not the Clockwork Tortoise one?
The Clockwork Tortoise one is still lost. That's called X-Women.
Right, X-Women.
And that would have been super interesting.
Oh, right, this is the 3D
That's its own interesting story because the programmer just basically, he made Adventures of Batman and Robin, which is a masterpiece.
Ooh.
And then started on X-Women, but just got burned out and has been working in a tea shop in Ireland since then.
Wow.
Oh, I'm going to go get him. Tell him to finish. I'm going to get him and tell him to finish.
Yeah.
That's a good note to go out on. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Ash, did you see my
Yes,
etymology?
I did. I read that. It doesn't ring true for me.
Yeah, it sounds weird. It doesn't sound...
It doesn't sound...
No.
We're younger than the supposed birth of this phrase, etymologically speaking, I guess. So I always associate, like I said, with World of Warcraft and ganking people. This is not something that we were using as a word in Gary, Indiana in like 1990.
Right.
Maybe that's like a California thing, or maybe it's a British slang thing, like black British AAVE, which I guess it wouldn't be AA in that particular point, but
AEVE.
AEVE.
Yeah. Welcome back to Insert Credit. It's time for a quick trip into the question hole. This is the point in every show where I get one question submitted to us at patreon.com/insertcredit, where for mere dollars a month, you get access to the form that lets you send questions into this segment. You get monthly bonus episodes and other features TBD. Watch this space. This week's question comes from one of the good Pauls, who asks,
"This better be about Chaotix.
Who would you want to be chained to in a series of platforming challenges?"
Nice.
Charmy B.
Charmy B is the canonical answer, yeah.
Yeah, Charmy B can just like lift me up and carry me.
Do you mean in general or of the Knuckles Chaotix roster?
I don't think it has to be the Knuckles Chaotix roster.
It was really left open.
I meant in general. Like, I don't have a better answer than Charmy B.
Yeah, who's better than Charmy B? Charmy B's like Tails, but he don't get tired.
Probably one of my dogs, just because...
platforming challenge?
I just like being with my dogs.
Fair.
Just chucking him up to the next stage of the level.
Like, just imagining my dog jumping around on a series of platforming challenges is very delightful to me.
As you're just pulled up a curved wall.
Yeah, I think we would fail. But in keeping with the spirit of how I play Knuckles Chaotix, we would have a fun time flopping around. So I think probably Saber. I think she's the friendlier of the two dogs. So
you have Saber in Pocket, right?
Yeah, Saber in Pocket.
Yeah. My first reaction was like, oh, I'll be nice and keep it on theme, as it were, and say my husband, but he would probably just like cut the rope and leave me to die.
Oh Lord.
So no. Yeah. I guess my other answer probably Lara Croft. I don't know.
Lara Croft is good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like trying to think of platforming games that I played when I first started playing video games, and I think, outside of Sonic, actually, like the other platform game that I think I played when I was a young kid before I like really got into video games was the Tomb Raider games. So yeah, Lara Croft.
I think she's a good answer for a lot of reasons, not least because she's had to overcome a lot of platforming adversity with controls herself.
Yeah, she has.
She understands how to manipulate a platform, her body toward a platform in all sorts.
As long as they're arranged in like big blocky grids.
Yeah, big grids. She could do monkey bars and stuff too.
Brandon, if you had to pick a video game character, not
I'll tell you who it wouldn't be. It would not be Bonk, because with him spinning all over the place, I would get so ill. I'd just be spinning in a huge moon-shaped circle around him. That would be awful.
Who would it be?
Who would it be? Who would it be? Man, I don't want to have to admit, it might be Mario.
Mario's a good one.
Because he knows what he's doing. He's done it before. He's done a lot.
He's the pro.
He could help me along, and he's always trying to carry his brother Luigi. So
is he?
Yeah.
Not really. No.
Philosophically.
I think I would go with Mega Man as played by a speedrunner, because there's a lot of wall clipping involved, and I feel like he'll get me out of this situation as quickly as possible.
Oh, to that end, perhaps Alucard or similar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, just backdash the whole thing?
Yeah, and just be going, huh, 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 huh.
That was actually a really good impression.
Okay. What makes for a good multiplayer platforming experience?
Nothing. Multiplayer platform. Multiplayer is an own other thing, but a multiplayer platforming is very specific, and that's real hard to get right. Especially
has anyone
if you're
done it?
Two competitive ass people like me and my husband. No, that ain't gonna do it. No.
I think Lost Vikings is pretty good when you've got someone's got to stand on this thing to make that other thing go. There's also that loud fella from the Game Awards. Games.
That's so funny, because I was getting ready to say actually no, because those games are actually really good to play co-op. It's the only games that I can play co-op with my husband that we actually enjoy, because we played the first one, It Takes Two, together. It's not the first one. But we play It Takes Two together, and we actually had fun, because me and my husband, we can't play video games together at all. He's way too competitive. I'm not good at video games. He's better at video games than I am for the most part, unless it's a rhythm game, in which case I win. The way that he plays video games is like so highly super competitive. It's like and not casual, and he gets real frustrated real easy when I fuck up, and I fuck up a lot. So the Joseph Fares games from Hazelight, they are built with enough like loosey-goosiness in them such that it's not as punishing when you fuck up. So you are allowed to like have that leeway. So he doesn't get frustrated. We have a good time. So those games are actually really good.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things is to let people have a good time, even if they're not
good at the game.
Yeah, good at it or succeeding super well. Like there has to be interesting or fun or useful failure built into it as well.
This isn't traditional multiplayer, but the multiplayer that works for us is actually a single player game, but there's some level of decision making, like a Metroidvania.
Mm-hmm.
So like a good platformy Metroidvania, like Amanda really enjoys just being on the couch while I drive that, but we discuss what we try next or what our next goal is, and I consider that multiplayer, and I really like that.
Yeah, we played through Magic Knight Rayearth on the Saturn that way. She controlled it some of the time, and then would pass the controller to me for like a boss, or if she got frustrated with something. But we would just like kind of pass into play, I guess, even though it's
I think passing is optional in my mind for this level of multiplayer. Like sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. Doesn't matter. You're both playing the game together.
He's going to listen to this podcast and then yell at me because I don't remember the name of the game. But there's a game that we also played on the Genesis Mini. I do not remember the name of it, but it's like you each get like your own little dude, and there are different classes for the dude, and you have to like get the dude from one part of the stage to another part. There are a bunch of enemies.
Is it not Lost Vikings?
It's not Lost Vikings. Like you get like a lady who can throw like a boomerang, and a dude that throws a spear, and like
Gain Ground.
Yes, Gain Ground. Thank you. That's a good game. It's not a platformer, but that's a good co-op game.
Yeah,
because your success is not necessarily based on how well your helper or your second player does.
Mm-hmm.
So when I fail at the game, he doesn't get mad at me about it.
Yeah. It's. I guess it's helpful if there are varying skill levels, when the secondary player can be sort of supplemental to the experience and not driving it. So it's
you can play separately together.
It's like the person riding on the back of the Warthog in the Halo.
Yeah,
is a good example, perhaps, or the person driving. It depends on which one's more important to you at the time.
All I can say for sure is that the person riding shotgun in the Warthog is useless.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about character variety in one-player and co-op games. Who does this the best?
What do you mean?
Like having different play styles that one or multiple people can do, not against each other, but like working together. Because every character in Knuckles Chaotix ostensibly has their own specialties. But I don't know how effective it is in execution unless we're literally talking about Charmy B.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say it's not Chaotix because Charmy B is just the cheat code. Yeah.
Exactly. Are there games that have like a really interesting balance between different kinds of play styles you can use among different characters?
Yeah. Recency bias. Gain Ground does that, I think, really well. Because like all the different classes like have different specials and different weapons that do different things, and he'll gravitate towards one particular class and I will gravitate towards another. But I can't really think of differentiation like that.
The easy answer is
Lost Vikings.
Is arena shooters or MMOs where everybody has a defined kind of role that they take, a tank or a healer or whatever. That's maybe too clear cut to be an interesting answer. I don't know. But it works. There are also things where you have, this is maybe too prescribed, but where you have specific roles, like if you're, was that cooking game where everybody's a different character on the line, like you're supposed to chop.
Overcooked?
Yeah.
No, that's a relationship ruiner game. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Like, because Overcooked is one of those games that he and I played together, and oh boy, no, we will never do that again.
Yeah. Another reason why Knuckles Chaotix is interesting, because it does bring out those relationship dynamics.
Yeah.
Like right to the forefront, where like in our case we're very much just kind of in the same boat, and whatever happens is happening to everybody that's in that boat, and it's fine or it's not fine. And Knuckles Chaotix definitely it showcases that, because she spent a lot of the time apologizing, and I was like, you didn't do that.
Oh yeah, that happened to me too. Actually, like, oh sorry, it's like that's not you. Like clearly, this situation that we're in right now, where neither of us is in control, is not something you meant to do.
Yeah,
it's not you, it's quest talk.
Yeah, and to me, when we're like trying to go left, and then suddenly we're like spinning out of control off to the right, it's funny. It's
for us, it wasn't like, I don't know, maybe it was for Amanda, but for me, like, it wasn't funny until it really clicked that, like, no, every time it's the game's fault.
Yeah.
Because like it took a couple times of me going like, okay, seriously, were you just pressing right there? And her going, no, for me to actually go like, oh.
Yeah, it's a shame that that people didn't get that far, because there are some frustrating parts of the game where I have gotten stuck in the past, where it's like, if you can't find the
thing,
the little clock to hit,
you got to start over.
Yeah, we got stuck. We did the level 3 of that one twice.
Yeah,
no,
that's annoying.
Yeah, it's awful.
There was one where we couldn't find it. This didn't happen this time. This time we burned right through it. But in the past, where we couldn't find it for the full 10 minutes and we timed out.
And you like this game?
Well, right. I think it's interesting. I don't love.
I think
game.
the mechanic is interesting. The levels are absolutely not. The closest to interesting to me is like the submarine going up and down, but like it never becomes interesting. It's just interesting in theory. The rest of them are just gimmicky locks and doors and elevators.
Yeah, I mean, I think the situation of the game is interesting. The
exactly. It's the mechanics, the levels never, the enemies never.
Yeah,
maybe the boss. I only fought 2 bosses.
How long did you guys play?
Well, like I said, it's a quick 90-minute game. So I played 90 minutes, and then it was. over.
I thought we played an hour, but we only got through like half the stages. So maybe it was less than that.
Because I think he and I played for like a solid 2 hours and did not make very much forward progress because we were still trying to like figure out how to play. Like because it just wasn't very intuitive, and it wasn't. Following all the directions. We still couldn't figure out how to make it work. And you're just eventually like holding left to get to the end of the thing, or trying to figure out how to like hold your partner and like zip up or whatever. So you can like, oh, what's that interesting bit up there? And it just never worked. And
interesting.
Yeah. And
sounds like maybe this is a game that I should stream to show people how it's fun and stupid.
Yeah, maybe.
But, yeah.
I will say in our defense too, it was our second. We did play an hour and then lost the save, which is my fault, and then played another hour-ish, I guess, over.
Like I went and watched a speed run and then a regular like long play of Knuckles Chaotix like solo player, and I'm like, this seems much better suited for one person because you don't have to manage the other person to like get over obstacles and things like that.
The AI is way stupider than a real person, though, and it'll sometimes work. Yeah, it'll sometimes work directly against you. And for me, when I'm playing with a person, I'm very understanding of all the errors and things, and the fact that we're flopping all over the place. But when it's the computer that should know better, then it's frustrating to me. You're not even real. You're supposed to be here helping me. You don't exist, buddy.
I got one more question before we go to our lightning round, and here it is. Why aren't Sonic and Tails in this game?
Yeah, I think it just wasn't good enough to be a mainstream Sonic game.
I truly think that is the reason. I think it was...
They didn't want to tarnish the brand of the mascot?
Yeah, I think it was probably on the table until, Sonic Team played it and they were like, this is garbage. And then mighty Red Sonic appeared suddenly out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Sonic and Tails, they couldn't sully their names, and they're like, all right, well, who else we got? I guess
these
Knuckles.
People that we have never heard of, because I think, isn't this the first appearance for all of the rest of them?
No, it is not. Ooh. So Mighty the Armadillo is from the Sonic arcade game.
Okay.
SBO is actually like part of Sonic's band that goes back to the first game. Charmy B was in like comics, like manga. No,
I mean game. I mean games.
Okay, then
no, but I want to hear this. Vector was also in the band, right?
Well, I think so, yeah. And the two of them that were in the band, like that band does make an appearance, maybe in the Game Gear version. No.
That
screen was cut. Like it was, they were supposed to be in the sound test for Sonic 1, but they didn't make it.
That's what they're reduced to. Let's get the characters who were going to be in the sound test.
Meant to be in the sound test, but we ran out of memory.
Yeah, like Amy Rose appears in this game, but only in the sound test.
Yeah. But they were existing characters for the most part, but maybe not in games other than Mighty Red Sonic.
Yeah, and not Heavy and Bomb, I don't think.
Yeah, no. Heavy and Bomb are OCs.
Those freaking guys.
They are bad.
The two dud partners you can get if you played this solo.
Yeah, Heavy is like somebody on the team was too good at the game, and they were like, "What if we gave you a partner that made everything harder and worse?"
Yeah,
that's just like, the game.
Yeah, but they wanted more. They needed more punishment. Yeah, also that Sega Sonic the Hedgehog arcade game, for people that don't know about it, look it up. It's kind of interesting and weird. It is a trackball 2D arcade game where you roll Sonic around.
I'm into
that
it.
does seem like a home run as a concept, because
it's
Sonic
not very,
is kind of a trackball.
It's not very good. It's just sort of a showcase of sequences, rather than an interesting, challenging experience. It's pretty prescribed, but I think it's very interesting. It's conceptually so, and it looks neat. I like how it looks.
All right. I think that's it. That has been our first credit redemption game. We'll see how these go in the future. I have a lightning round this week specifically for Ash Parrish. Ash, you're the only one playing today.
Okay.
This will be your opportunity to earn your 10th credit. I don't know what you want to do with those, but
are we allowed to be here for this?
You can be here. You can listen.
Okay. I can't say any words.
You're allowed to say words. You can offer your opinion if you'd like, but this is only playable for Ash. This episode is coming out on March 3rd, but as we record, it's still technically Black History Month. So
oh God.
This round is just for you.
Oh no.
It's a very simple game.
All right. Okay.
Here's what's going to happen.
Let's see how it goes.
I am going to name a Sonic the Hedgehog character.
Okay.
And you are going to tell me whether and why or why not they are black.
Okay, I'm into it. Let's go.
This came back around.
I think
me.
I will maybe not say it.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes. Just yes.
Why?
Jaleel White.
Jaleel White. That's correct. I have that in my notes.
I want to make a little rule, which Ash almost said yes, and left it at that. I think you're only allowed one of those. The rest you have to justify. And that didn't count because Jaleel White, I
don't know
accept.
why you're giving me direction.
Yeah, Frank, this is not your game to direct Ash on. I'm sorry. Frank, I'm going to have to...
sorry that I want to know more about your culture, Ash. I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to deduct a credit from you, Frank. You're at one credit now. Miles Tails Prower.
I am on the fence about this. Well, everybody should have a white sidekick. So, no. Tails is not black.
Like Static's white sidekick in Static Shock.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Knuckles the Echidna.
Yes. Those little barbs coming out of his head, those are dreadlocks.
Yeah. Also,
and he's got like really cool tennis shoes.
Yeah, we all know that. And also, he I don't know if he actually has red, yellow, and green like beads on his braid, or if that's just something I saw on all the '90s clothes. But
actually, now I didn't even think of it like that. But yeah, those colors are very close to like the Black Liberation flag.
Yes.
So yes. Even better.
I'm trying to imagine that image that's in your head, and I just keep getting the Black Simpsons T-shirts.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. That's pretty much more. Or remember the Looney Tunes with like the urban fashion.
Shirts, the crisscross looking.
Yeah.
The Simpsons are biracial because Marge Bouvier is a biracial woman. But anyway, continue on. Look at that hair, Jaffe.
That's fair. That's fair. I can't argue it. Amy Rose.
Another tough one, because I would like to imagine that no black lady would be as thirsty for a dude who did not care about her like that. But, sometimes we make bad choices. I'm
just going to throw in there that she's the most Saved by the Bell character in here to me. So,
I do like that she has a big... Well, no, we wouldn't do big hammers. We would just pull out a... No. I'm on the fence with her. No, I'm going to say no. Princess Sally, though, is.
Oh, absolutely. I agree there. Espio the Chameleon.
No, he's one of our Latinx friends. Oh, do we have thoughts?
No. Because I was about to think that was where we diverged, but then when you said he's one of our Latinx friends, that's why I made that sound, because I was that's a better answer.
Yeah, my sound was not like I don't know.
Yes, we're all here to learn, Ash. Vector the crocodile, who has the best idle animation in any Sonic game.
No, he's not. You know what he is? He's one of those white guys in California who's really into hip hop.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he's always showcasing those headphones and snapping his fingers
and that
to be
big ass gold chain. Yeah.
He's like,
he's
guess
trying
what?
Way
it's
too
very
hard.
performative. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Charmy B, our favorite.
Could be. No, I think he's like I put him in the same, like he occupies the same space in my head as Tails, which is like no. Like he's cool. Like he's not that black people can't be nerds, but he's like the nerdier, like Poindextery type to me.
Is Charmy nerdy?
He gives off that vibe.
I see him as like the little kid who asks you if you've got games on your phone.
I see him as the short person wwho will murder you. Like they just have something to prove because they're small. Like that's how I played Charmy B.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
A terror.
You know that part? So you run to the end and then the stupid thing comes up and it like spins the wheel to see which level you're going to be on, right?
Yeah.
Like the way I played it, I was Charmy B. I was holding right and just hammering the button. So like on the exact frame that you could hit the thing to stop the wheel, like Charmy just like 100 miles an hour just slams his face into it because he's just that mad. He
licks it.
Yeah. No, he doesn't lick the machine. He just like violently, like there's blood on it.
All right.
Like he just screams and just launches himself into it.
I always assumed, this is silly, but I assumed Charmy B was a lady.
I don't know. I do not care what gender Charmy is. Charmy is just anger. Charmy is just small anger.
He's a male character, but I just assumed he was a lady.
You got Tweety Bird.
I did.
Oh, yeah.
You got Tweety Birded.
So what was the answer?
What was the determination on Charmy? Yeah.
No, white.
Ash is white.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mighty the Armadillo.
Not black, but also not white.
You see, that's interesting because I thought of Mighty as white Sonic.
No, I never thought of him like that, honestly.
All right.
Maybe, I think of, if you want white Sonic, I think Ray is white Sonic to me. The yellow one.
Ray's Tails, though.
He is, but for some reason, that's what I think of when I don't think of Mighty as Red Sonic. I just really don't. It's just never occurred. It never occurred to me like that. It just doesn't, because Knuckles is Red Sonic to me.
So Mighty is like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, race
like
unknown.
Ambiguously brown.
Yeah. All right. Big the Cat.
Yes. Yes. He's like a Fat Albert. He's Fat Albert to me.
There you go. Rouge the Bat.
I gotta say with Big, I had a like cookout sort of vibe from him.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
He's like at the grill.
Yeah, 100%.
With
got
those
a real
shoes,
uncle thing going on.
Oh, absolutely. And he fishes. Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Sorry, please resume. I just needed to throw that.
No,
out
that's correct. That reinforces the point. Like, yeah, he's big Unk vibes. Rouge the Bat, 100%. Yeah, she's one of us.
I would like to voice Esper's opinion that all of the Sonic characters are black except for Rouge, who is Latina.
I could be persuaded, but yes.
Yeah. All right. Shadow the Hedgehog. Is Shadow the Hedgehog black?
No.
I think he's one of mine. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm claiming. He's Italian?
Yeah, I was gonna say he's Italian. I can take Italian.
I guess he's Keanu now.
He is a white person who, if you squint really, really hard, is part of a minority.
Okay.
So Ariana Grande
tries to find a way to be
that's perfect. Yes, Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
And our last one here is Blaze the Cat.
Blaze the Cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to remember who that is.
Oh, that's so interesting because to me that's an immediate yes. Blaze is black.
No.
Ooh.
I think she's Asian. I had to remember who she was, but no. Oh, yeah, she's Asian.
That makes sense. Yeah, I see it.
That red, she's got a bindi.
She's got a bindi. That's it. All right. Congratulations, Ash. You've just earned your 10th credit. Unprecedented. You cash those in whenever you like.
I will one day, I promise. I'm sorry that I keep breaking your game, Jeffy.
Does anyone here have anything they'd like to recommend?
I saw on Steam the other day a multiplayer game called Chain Together. where you're 4 guys online and you're in hell connected by chains, and it's a platform game. Just
why did you bring that up earlier?
What made me bring that up? It's just been in the back of my mind.
Frank Cifaldi.
I got some. First of all, I have to apologize to Digital Eclipse because you can save in Wizardry. I said that you couldn't in some episode somewhere, and that was because
Brandon's apology corner back
that's
again.
Right. It's because I'm the only one that is willing to correct my mistakes. That's the only reason.
None of us ever make mistakes. It's weird that it's only you every time.
Yeah. But yeah, I couldn't see how to save, and then I looked up how to save, and the internet, goddarn, told me that you can't. But the internet actually meant you can't make your own dedicated save. It only autosaves. So, whoops. Anyway, there's that. I'm also going to recommend the Melt Banana. If you're familiar with Melt Banana, they are a experimental grindcore-ish, rock-ish band that has been going since the early 90s. And they just released a new album like 6 months ago, which I didn't realize. And if you want to hear some 50-something-year-old people who absolutely have still got it and still have new ideas, check out their album 3+5. It's really cool. It's way more accessible than their earlier stuff while still keeping their experimental roots, and it's pretty neat. It's way more tuneful and melodic than prior efforts, and it's just nice to see a band that you listened to in high school for being, quote, so crazy, to just come out with an album 30 years later that is just like really, really solid. So that's lovely.
I know them from their early stuff when they went by Faster Banana, Melt.
Right. Yeah, that was a different time in their era. And then lastly, remember a long time ago, like about 500 million years ago, when I said that I was going to do a bundle for California fire relief?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's out now. It's actually available for you to purchase now. It took me 6 weeks to get a charity to agree to take money from me for a bundle. It's very frustrating because nobody cares about this issue anymore.
Yeah, the news cycle. There's been approximately 600,000 news cycles since then.
Right. It's like this was a really important thing. It's still very important to the people whose entire communities burned down. Like tens of thousands of structures were leveled, and entire towns are basically gone. And people are still dealing with this stuff, but the zeitgeist has moved on, and it's very, very frustrating because I basically had everything ready except for the charity within 5 days of having the idea of this. And then it took me a full 6 weeks to actually put it together. I was calling charities every day. It took a lot of time, but it's available now. It's got Tunic.
What's the charity?
The charity is called Community Organized Relief Effort, aka CORE. They give direct financial assistance to survivors of the wildfires and help with rebuilding programs and things like that. So they're very cool, and I hope we can make them a decent amount of money. But yeah, 400 plus games: Tunic, Tangle Tower, Cat Lateral Damage, Hidden Folks, Cooks Are Delicious 1 and 2, Fallen Legion, Octodad, the Bug Snacks collectible card game is in there. There's tons of stuff. It's good. And even if you just want Tunic for $10 instead of $30,
it's worth it.
It's worth it. So I'm hopeful that even the greedy people will spend money on this, but I'm also hoping that people who can afford to will pay more and get that number up. As of we just launched it a few hours ago, we got 17,000 so far. So we're getting there. So that is as of 2:16 p.m. on Thursday, the 27th. Let's see where we get to by the time you listen to it.
Do you know how many thousand of those were from my retweet?
Yeah, I can directly correlate that it's 6,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
It is also very funny to see. I unlocked and unhid my Twitter account in order to post about this.
Oh, let me be clear. I meant the Blue Sky, whatever.
I know you did.
Yeah.
But
whoa, hang on. Whoa.
Yeah, I knew you meant a Blue Sky tweet.
Yeah.
On Blue Sky, we've got as of right now 605 reposts, 664 likes, and 68 quotes. On Twitter, let me see what we got. 22 retweets,
Jesus.
24 likes.
34 billion impressions, it says.
That's right,
platform. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Twitter is such a waste.
Yes.
It's just pointless. But the only reason I went back on there for this is because it's like, okay, it's for charity. I want to get as much exposure as possible. But it's just not even. It doesn't even help.
It's called X because it used to be something.
That's right. Blasted. So check it out. So you can just go to Itch and search for California Fire Relief Bundle, and you'll find it. And give it a go. Thank you.
For my recommendations, I'm going to still recommend that you call your senators. If you're an anxious person who doesn't know what to say when you get on the phone like I am, there is an app and a website called 5 Calls.
5 Calls.
You can put in your location information. It will give you the information of your representatives that you can call directly. You have an opportunity to make up a script ahead of time. So when you do that, all you got to do is just read the script and you can make your voice be heard to let them know like, hey, you should be doing something that you're not doing, or you should stop doing what you're doing. You should do that. On a lighter note, by the time this comes out, Steam Next Fest should still be going on. So if you're hurting for something to play, Steam's got this Next Fest where you can get a ton of demos for games that you might be interested in. Just off the rip, a couple of things that stick out to me. There's Bundle of Joy, which was a really fun, like WarioWare-esque mini game, a palooza about taking care of a baby during the pandemic lockdown. I love whatever Strange Scaffold is doing, and they've got Creepy Dinosaur Mansion 3, even though there's not a Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3. There is not
Heaven forfend.
Yeah, there's not a Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 1 or 2, which makes it funny. It's a match 3 Metroidvania. Very funny. Oh, I also played one of the games that the Paradise Killer folks made, Promise Mascot Agency. That's also really good. But yeah, check out Next Fest. You might find your next game. There's a bunch of demos. It should still be going by the time this podcast goes up, even though it does end on Monday.
I'm also going to mention, just adding on to Ash's thing about calling your reps, is that you can also send them snail mail. That also works. Like, there was a person who, this is the internet, but there was a person who was saying that when they worked for their local rep, 20 letters was like, oh my God, this is a big deal. Because so few people do it, that if you actually call them and talk to them about issues or leave them I'm sure they don't actually. Another thing that may make you feel better about calling is they don't really like listen to your whole message and carefully consider what you're saying, but they do tally the number of times that an issue has been brought up and what has been said about that issue. So like pro or con, whatever. And as someone else said, the only thing that really makes that moves things these days is turning a cell of a spreadsheet red, where it's like, okay, this issue is something that is on here, and now it's turning negative or it's turning bad. Oh, and to that end, what that discussion was actually about is Udon, the comic company. No, the comic company that works with Capcom all the time. Mm-hmm. The CEO was going on Twitter talking all about how proud they are to have never been a DEI company and how they never will.
Yeah.
And so if you are interested in telling Capcom what you think about that in their feedback form, and how Udon is the only company that gets to do comics with Street Fighter, which is one of the most diverse video games in early history of video games, one would say, you go ahead and do that too. Turn that particular spreadsheet cell red. Okay, bye.
It's pretty good. I've got some recommendations myself. I'd like to recommend that if you enjoyed this or any episode of Insert Credit, that you please rate and review our show wherever and however you can. iTunes, Spotify, what have you, helps with our visibility. You could also support us directly with your contributions to patreon.com/insertcredit. If you'd like to sponsor our show with an advertisement or personal message, or submit your own buzzer, you can email me at show@insertcredit.com. You can also join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or find us on youtube.com/insertcreditshow if you're not there already. Wishlist Demon School on Steam, subscribe to The Verge, and check out the new archive.gamehistory.org. This week's buzzer by David Newman. This episode was edited by Esper Quinn, with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Ash Parrish.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
And your game has now been saved.
You know, if we come out of this whole situation alive and all that, might end up being a pretty good thing that how many people just showed their asses. Like the Sudan guy, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Could be a good clean slate afterward. That's my silver lining here.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see these fuckers slinking back to Pride like nothing happened.
Oh, it's absolute. Like, I'm very interested to see what June looks like because, like, I'm throwing middle fingers at everybody.